welcome back to part 29 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, where today, we're continuing our side questathon through chapter 14. There's still a lot to do, and I've just added more to it as we turn in all these battle intels. After these ones are all turned in, there's only 2 battle intels left to do. One of them is go fight Leviathan. The other is max out every single green materia in the game, or one of every single green materia. The one that I've been talking about and saying that you should be trying to work on ASAP for a while now. It's only when you step away that Chadley will bring up that you've got the new ones. So you get the Leviathan and the Magic Master. I'm going to warn you right now, if you've been doing everything as they can come available, if you get to this point, the odds of you being ready for Leviathan aren't great. You can absolutely win against Leviathan. In fact, I fight Leviathan here and now, and it's why this video is so long, because this fight takes like 16 minutes. But I cannot stress enough against it if you're only at this stage. Come back for Leviathan later. Like I said, there will be one more opportunity in a later chapter to talk to Chadley. Fight Leviathan there, because you will be at a much more comfortable level to fight this thing by that time. Fighting it now, well, you're going to see as this fight goes on. Other than it being a nice, unique boss fight, which is always welcome, this guy hurts. He's weak to electricity, but I assure you that doesn't mean too much. Leviathan has 3 points you can hit. When he's like submerged in his own little water dome, you can only hit 2 of them. But after a while, he will leave it and start flying through the sky, in which his 3rd weak spot can be hit. The actual head, you have a dorsal fin, and then it's the tail that can be hit. And if I'm honest, I've never been 100% sure how the dorsal fin and tail fin works. There's clearly something at play, and I've got, like, my theory that you're going to see me trying this but not seem to get too far on, is that I think one of them takes more damage from magic while the other takes more damage from physical. Like, I think the dorsal fin takes more magic damage whilst the tail fin takes more physical damage. Or something like that. But I'm honestly not sure. Like even when I bring up the battle intel, the intel doesn't give you that much other than fucking brace yourself, because you're in for the long haul. My biggest thing that I would stress to do though is put haste on everyone. I don't think it's possible to have the all materia at this point. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure you can't have the all materia. I don't think I've somehow just missed it. I missed the saber. But if you don't have the all materia, well, then you've just got to put up with it. But if you do, put it on haste. Being able to get haste on your whole party will really make the difference in keeping up on it. Because you're going to see, I spend more of this time trying to stay alive than I actually do fighting the thing. Additionally, as I mentioned before, it is a water beast. It is a water elemental creature, and it's the only water elemental creature or water elemental thing you can have access to in this game. This is me kind of panicking slightly. You can interrupt this if you do enough damage, but I was just panicking that it was that whatever was coming was about to hurt, and so I just took it. Like, you can stop that if you do it right. In fact, you can stop a lot of this thing's actions if you hit it hard enough. It's just finding the way to do it when you're doing it as a lower level and as early as you can, as I am. Because it does become a hell of a lot more grind. It's the same with the next and final summon. The last summon of the game, which I said might unfortunately be a post-game showcase, but we'll see as we go. That one is another peak example of you fight that fucker when you're like a much higher level. You don't fight, if you make it available to fight as soon as possible and then go do it in the then final time we get to talk to Chadley. Like, if you max out it here and go fight it here, I don't think you'll win. It's obviously possible, because everything's possible in this game. You can do a lot at very low levels if you decide to do so. But at the same time, I think it would be an absolute nightmare to fight the final summon in this chapter if you get it available, as opposed to fighting it in a couple chapters time and when you last get to speak to Chadley. Additionally, if you're in New Game Plus, there's yet another instance you get the bump into Chadley, because Chadley will show up only in New Game Plus or Chapter Select on a later chapter. And that's how you access a lot of like the secret fights and like special challenges. That's why he only appears in NG Plus. It's just a thing for you to be able to tackle a post game of some kind. which I will show off, but as I've mentioned before, I won't do the full stretch of. Part of the reason being because I've never done the full stretch of it. Part of the reason being because you have to use area for a whole chunk of it, and it's actually annoyingly difficult. And finally, the last challenge isn't fun. I know I say this as someone who's like gone through both pain areas of the Death End Request series, but they're things I can talk about and like mess around with. These the 7 remakes, I'm sorry, I just don't care for it. And the reward for doing it isn't that, like, I guess it's alright, but it's not. It's like a lot of games that have like a superpower weapon reward or a superpower artifact or armor reward for beating the hardest challenge. It's like, well, you just beat the hardest challenge, so it doesn't mean anything. But as we stagger this legendary beast, its tail pops out so we can attack that as well. But I just put everyone on limit break duty, and look at how little damage this does as I unleash like literally everyone's limit break. Like this, it's stagger. That was a good hit, at least in the last hit, but we're nowhere near killing this thing. That was like a third we did before it recovered from all that. That's what I mean by we're under-leveled. We are not there. Every single other summon, you stagger and unleash a limit break, you pretty much win. Leviathan, no, this is a chunky guy, and if you fight him as soon as you can in Chapter 14, you're in for the goddamn long haul. I genuinely think they don't expect you, or wasn't expecting you, to tackle this fight until the next instance you get to talk to Chadley in a couple chapters' time. I genuinely think they planned it around you not having it available by Chapter 14. Also, be careful, all these immunes you're seeing, any bullets from Barrett's that touches like these whirlpool tornado things, will be devoured by it. As you see, like, it turns to immune as it goes behind the water. All of your attacks will be devoured by the water whirlpool things, if you can, which is what makes it so annoying, because the Leviathan will circle around them deliberately to make it awkward to hit him. Oh, and here's me getting the use out of the parry dodge spam that you can get with Tifa again, just to get her out of dodge. As I said, there's genuinely, like, parry's alright on Cloud, but it works wonders on Tifa. Like, it's built for Tifa, the way you can just do that spam dodge like an absolute, like, fiend. And I was looking through my recorded footage. I mentioned in a previous video that the beauty of all these side quests being this week, all the videos for it being this week, is that I'll hopefully get a video being able to talk about the announcements of the Game Awards. I edited the videos together and realized the video where that would apply is the very first video where we get back on the plot. And I was like, God damn it. But it's also the last video I recorded in that session, so before the end of the week I will need to record more. But when I next do a recording, I'll probably try and commit like a whole day to it, so I'll probably do it in the weekend, where I'm not worrying about editing and recording and whatnot, and I can just record in one full session. Because I'm close-ish. I said I'm still like a good like 9 or 10 hours off, but I'm close-ish enough that if I commit a whole day to it, I could probably finish the game in the next session. It's just doing so. And I'd kind of want to do it in one rhythm, just so I'm in the best kind of like playing mindset, like sort of thing. Like if I take another like few days off it to like actually do editing and whatnot, then go back to it, I won't be as good getting into the final boss fight. And the finale of this game, there's one thing that I don't like about the finale, and that's it, and that is the checkpoints. the final battles of the game, they're a little funky on some of the checkpoint placements. They're a little mean, and so you need to kind of be able to do it in one, otherwise some of them you die, and then you see how far it sends you back and you're like, oh god. But there's Stagger 2, and it's just beyond halfway. I told you, this fight's going to take a while. I think it's like the 16 or 17 minute point of this. We finally take this fucker down. I even start pumping out ethers and turbo ethers just to try and help get a move on with this. And I want to say I might actually use an elixir as well, just to help like even the odds. I think I do. If it's about to use Tidal Wave, using Tidal Wave immediately after it recovers from a stagger is the one thing you don't want, because it means you're pretty much not going to interrupt it. So I'm like, oh, here we go. At this point, I looked at my health and I was like, everyone could die here. It'd be a miracle if Barrett survives, but he's the only one that might. And there we go. Barret, by the absolute skin of his teeth, didn't deserve to live because everyone else was a little bit lower. So I elixir Barret because I was like, no. I need to make sure this motherfucker lives so I can survive long enough to not only get everyone picked up, but heal them afterwards. And it's around this stage that I really wished I had put Raise on someone else to try and build it up and get it closer to a Rise. Because if I had a Rise, although it costs a shit ton of MP, picks people up at full health. So Cloud and Tifa would have been at full health, not a little under half. Raise is still a better option than a Phoenix Down, because a Phoenix Down will only do it by a couple hundred at most, whilst Raise will do around a third of your life. And it's also another instance where it'd be really nice if I had the all materia. It'd be real nice, but we don't, unfortunately, so I just gotta make do without. To be fair, I think... What is it, Magnify? The one where it'll kind of hop between people if they're close by. I wonder if that'll work. I haven't actually tried it on Cure to see if you can Magnify Cure between your own party. You know the one where it's like if another enemy's next to them, the spell will bounce between them. Like the discount version of All. Like I haven't actually tried to see if it'll work on Cure to see if you can do that between allies. Because if you can, that might be an idea to put Magnify on Cure. You might have also noticed at the start of this fight, and I didn't really mention it last time, even though I kind of should have, because it was a unique material we picked up. When we started Chapter 14, after our heartfelt scene with Tifa, the moment we started exploring, there was a new material in front of us that just said pedometer. The pedometer materia, literally, it's a pedometer, is what it says. It counts your steps. If you do 5,000 steps, it transforms into the actual material it's hiding. So if you see at any point it comes up saying pedometer steps 500 or pedometer steps 1,000, yeah, that's just working towards it. When it hits 5,000, it will unlock into pretty much the only ticket chance you're going to get without grinding of getting that last battle intel max out. Because the last one it gets is AP boost or ability point boost. That's what the pedometer will transform to. Which will, any material it's associated with will get double the AP points. So put it on something you want to grind out quick, and then the moment it maxes it out, be sure to put it on something else, and you might, keyword might, just barely be able to squeeze it through. Like, just barely get it in and get it all done before your deadline. Like I said, if you're playing for it yourself, you're obviously not recording a Let's Play and not worrying about being over-leveled or under-leveled too much. So there's nothing stopping you from just grinding it out in the Colosseum or something anyway. I'm just saying, like, for my sake more than anything, where I'll have to keep moving, and if it's going to be too much of a grind, I have to step back because I don't want to be over-leveled. We won't be able to show it. It's just trying to to balance the odds as much as possible. Now, I'm trying to think, do I kill it on this one? I don't think I do. I think I get close. Like, literally everyone has their limit break. Unfortunately, I don't have Tifa and Barret's level 2. I think if I had that, maybe that would be more just enough to guarantee its death. But you can see, like, we're still got to rip in. It's not dead yet, as I literally have everyone use their limit breaks, and it's not enough. It's still got a whole chunk left. I'm just sitting there like, oh, for God's sake, Leviathan, die, please. Why are you so tanky? It's gone through a summon, like 8 limit breaks. All of them, like, when it was staggered. It's like, and it's about to summon all these whirlpool shits again, so half our bullets aren't going to work. And we need to kind of use Barret anyway, because he's the only one that's going to reach easily because of the way this thing keeps moving. But I also need to be wary of Cloud and Tifa's positioning, because their AI, although not hideous, has its moments. They have their moments where they will choose, instead of moving away from the thing coming towards them, to just stand and block. Which is kind of what both Cloud and Tifa are doing right now, where they can't really do much else. So sometimes it becomes wise to actually move them out the way to get them to, just to get them out of dodge, to get them to move. I was saying, that's fine with Tifa, with the parry tech. You can get her out of a situation so damn quickly, it's kind of hilarious. It's just going to be Cloud you have to be wary of, because he will just stand there and shield up, and you need to get him out of there, and his rolls and dodges are nowhere near as quick as Tifa's. And you can see there's a lot of at this stage, I'm like, no. I'm paranoid at this point that he's gonna tidal wave again and kill us, which is why I'm trying to push that stagger so much, because like, no, if I can stagger even without limit breaks, I should be able to kill. I just desperately need to get it. So now that we've got it, I focus shot, I overcharge, I think. I have Tifa get in there. Oh, I just focus shot again. Tifa, please get in there. There we go. You see, Tifa's just running against it. But there we go, the Leviathan is down. And like I said, on your first run, you might not even get Leviathan. A lot of people, like I said, don't figure out the stagger thing, where the stagger battle intel, and that ends up being like the last restrictor before you get access to it. The fact that you need to learn how to get the percentage above 200 once you stagger an enemy. And if you don't know how Tifa works properly, you're never going to get it. But now that we have Leviathan, I'm like, Barrett, you have him. I feel bad making it so you still have Fat Chocobo after all this time. But now we can actually move on to the rest of side questing. Back in Wool Market, we need to find 3 tracks for that kid to help try and spice up the life of the Wool Market and try and get some spirits back in the people. So we can pick up the Stand Up track, the song that played when we was actually in the Honeybee Inn, from just behind it. Oh, and I turn around to Madam M. Madam M's side quest here leads to an encounter that I think caught everyone by surprise. She's going to explain to us here that people are looking around for Avalanche. They're Corneo's men, and they are looking around for Avalanche, and so they eventually get a lead that takes them nearish to Aerith's place.
What? Got a problem?
So yes, it's like they're searching for us right now. They're going to go near Aerith's place because they think there's a lead there. The side quest going there leads to an interesting fight against an enemy that I was not expecting to be in part 1. I'm so glad it is, and I thought it was very cheeky on them to do it, but I remember when I first saw it, I was like, oh no, they're not going to do that, are they? And they're more than happy to show it to you. I can't remember if it's this video or the next one, because I kind of jump around. I know, right? Me jumping around places as we go, not having any real consistency. But I don't go straight there. I kind of do what's here and work my way back. So that side quest will be put on hold for a second. Especially because there's new stuff in the Colosseum anyway. Firstly, there's another track, but there's actually new fights as well. And whilst we're here, we need to do that thing for Kirya, and we can get those limit breaks for Barrett and Tifa. Which they're going to have a much easier time doing it because, you know, they're a much higher level than Cloud and Aerith were when we were here a few chapters ago. But yeah, it is available for you to do right now.
Couldn't have picked a better time.
Yes, hello Gatekeeper, it's nice to see you again. So now we're going to do Kirya's match.
And we can't exactly pit the other guy against
win it for her to get her out of dodge so that we can get that key, get Johnny's wallet back, and, well, get another side quest in the books. And that key that Kirya has that we want, yeah, you really want it. I can't stress enough, you really want it. It's not a, maybe it'd be nice to do a side quest. No, it's way too good to dodge. But this special fight leads to another unique encounter, where the Beastmaster that we fought way back in Chapter 8 is back for us, and, oh no, was it Chapter 9?
You'll have to make do with us.
Chapter 9 even. Chapter 9 is when we went to Wool Market. I had to think for a second. Chapter 8 is where we met Aerith. But anyway, it was the first match we fought against the Beastmaster, where he has a new beast. So now we've got a unique fight to come out of it. Look at that thing! It looks like it came out of like the Phantom Forest from Final Fantasy 6 or something. It looked creepy as hell. But that looks like an enemy that might become more of a normal one in later parts, depending on where we go. This Hellhound, this game's version of the Hellhound. Like, it's a freak of nature, the thing. I do apologise if my spirit's not in there the same way it was yesterday. Yesterday was a very late work shift, and so it's just catching up to me a little bit. I'm just that teeny tiny bit more on the tired side of life. But I'll be alright. Tomorrow I'll be fine because I'm not working today, so I'll be able to get a full rest. It's just, it happens sometimes. It catches up to you when you're doing other things. But I'm not going to give this up for even a second. I'm having a blast with this. It's always nice to do more recording, and it's always nice to play more Final Fantasy and show off FF7. You'll notice that Tifa doesn't have parry anymore, at least for right this second. It's because until we can get more materia slots, everything is like everyone has just got magic materia on them, and you're gonna see it's gonna put me at a little bit of a disadvantage in some fights that I don't have some of the more variety materias. But that is entirely because I am desperate to try and get that battle intel done before the end of the playthrough, to try and be able to show off the final summon fight. Like I said, if it happens to go into New Game Plus, it happens to go into New Game Plus. Some things can't be helped. It'd be nice if I can do it in one go. But it's a huge we'll see. I think it's always going to be a huge we'll see. It's the same with when we do integrate. It's going to be a huge we'll see whether I get the max score on that fucking whacker box. So when I got it that once, it felt like the stars aligned more than I got good at it. So I know what you needed to do, but it does feel like even when you got the rhythm to it, you had to still get it, and it just it was a pain in the neck. I appreciate that they made it harder than the normal game one, but at the same time, come on, dude, they made that way too ridiculously hard. They oversteered. At least I feel they oversteered a little bit to try and get the best result. Because you literally, instead of it being like in Cloud's one, where you have to like hit a score threshold, but there's like enough boxes around that you don't have to worry about that score threshold really. In the whacker box, the final score threshold is literally absolutely every single box has to be broken. And so you have to just kind of turn into a fiend and a monster to try and get it all done. But our extra fight is 1, even though we got beat up a little bit. Was it this chapter? If you want all the art books, as in like the art of swordsman, art of gunplay, as in like to get more upgrade points on your weapons, in hard mode you will need to do like almost all of these side quests, if not indeed all of these side quests again. And I suppose now that we're showing off the rest of the fights in the Colosseum, I won Barrett's and Tifa's version of the default one off screen, so they have their level 2 limit breaks now. Because like I said, it's the exact same fights we did with Cloud and Aerith. So they're really a joke at this stage with the leveling that the characters will be on at this stage. But the Book of Arts and how they work, in normal you'll notice you only get like Book of Arts 1 and maybe Book of Arts 2. That you get them from like the side quests, you get the art books too. But then when you beat the game, it'll show you like your final like log of like all your accomplishments, and it will tell you you've got like barely any of the logs in actuality. You've got like 5% of them. That's because they're rewards in hard mode for doing the game in hard mode. Beating bosses in hard will give you books. Beating chapters in hard mode will give you books or the arts. And doing all side quests in a given chapter will give you arts. I'm only missing 1 book in my main file, and that is because you have to do both side quest lines in chapter 9. Both of them have their own art book to it, and I can't be bothered to do that chapter again, especially on hard mode, when you've got when like the side quests don't pull up until after Hell House, so you have to do Hell House on hard again. And yeah, no. I don't think that the Hell House boss fight on hard is as hellish as people like make it out to be, but it doesn't change the fact it's a nightmare, and it's still real tough and will catch you off guard in a lot of ways when you first spot it and realize what it's asking from you. You do kind of sit there and go, oh Jesus, I have to worry about all these extra things. It's not just a fight with extra stats. There's actually a lot more to the fight now, which is something I absolutely love, and it's why I will showcase hard mode. I won't obviously do the whole playthrough again. I will probably only do 1 video on it showcasing like the Guard Scorpion and how that fight changes, so you get a little bit of an idea of what to expect going forward. But in the general rule of thumb of hard mode is that it's not just higher stats, although that is a given, because you can only access hard mode in New Game Plus, so the whole game's balanced around you being like near max level, as opposed to being, you know, level 7 when you start the game. Almost every single boss in the game has completely revamped strategies, and they have new skills. And those new skills are mixed in with the fact that their strategies work different is what makes them nightmares, what makes them like so difficult in hard mode. It makes them brilliant, but it does make them hard. You've really got to pay attention and work when you're doing it in hard. But shifting gears a little bit, because we are, you know, approaching the Game Awards. as a admittedly disgruntled but Sonic fan, it was interesting to see earlier that Jeff Keighley was reached out to, you know, the person who runs the Game Awards, by Sonic the Hedgehog, by like the Sonic the Hedgehog like official Twitter marketing team, like reaching out for some kind of promotion thing, and Jeff Keighley was immediately on it, and it's like 30th anniversary of Sonic, yeah, let's do something. I think his exact tweet was, I see that you're 30 and flirty, you're getting DMs, or check your DMs, or something like that. Which I was like, okay, Jeff. And then I think it was like Fidel, or Fadel, or however you pronounce his name. I'm sorry, dude, I'm probably butchering your name. You know, the hype dude that you probably see on Twitter all the time. Like he was like, Jeff, are you a Sonic fan? And he was like, yeah. Like Jeff was like, yeah, I am. And then when he started getting, he got followed by Sonic the Hedgehog on Twitter, and then Jeff put a tweet up going, yeah, baby, and it was like, Jeff, dude. Like he was getting excited that Sonic was following him on Twitter, and it's like, Jeff Keighley, come on, man. I've mentioned it many times before. I might not like a lot of the things at the Game Awards, but I don't hate Jeff Keighley. Like, I have a lot of problems with his decision making, and I have a lot of problems with the business side of things. But as a human being, I genuinely have no problem with the man. I think he's fine. I have a lot of time for him, and a lot of what he fights for and what he talks for. I just hope he makes more of an effort with some of the things going on now, because he made a real big effort when it was Konami actively fucking over Kojima, but it was a little worrying when we got that news report saying that the Game Awards weren't going to have a stance on the whole Activision Blizzard thing, and it's like, no, that's a hell of a much bigger deal than Konami just not letting one man take an award. This is an entire corporation harassing and terrorizing, bullying, sending death threats to, and it's all managed by their own CEO, for fuck's sake. That's a stupendously much bigger deal. The fact that Bobby Kotick's still in Blizzard is a fucking baffling statement, because he should have been the very first thing to go. He should have had his pay cut. Well, not even cut, he should have been severed. He should have been severed, like, without pay. He should have just been let go, and that was the end of it. But no, of course not. Things don't work that way, and people continue to get hurt and abused, and the women aren't safe, and all these other things. But I'm getting off topic. I'm getting way off topic. The point is, Jeff said that eventually turned around and said that Activision Blizzard, outside of the nominations, which I understand, as much as I don't care for some of the games that have been nominated, at the end of the day, it's not the devs themselves that, you know, the thing people working on the game, the programmers, that should suffer because of the corporate bullshit going on. So their games that they worked on still being nominated, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense to me, because it's not the programmers' fault. The programmers still put their time and effort into it, and they deserve credit for what they've managed to do, regardless of whether I like the games or not. No, see, if I had parry, I would have, the parry dodge, I would have been fine, but because I'm still grinding it out. Also, yeah, I deliberately picked the more awkward two just to mix it up instead of it just being Cloud all the time. So Barrett and Tifa is what we get. But we can only hope that more things come out and the right things happen surrounding Blizzard and what's going on in Activision Blizzard right now to make their workspace a lot healthier, because no one under any fucking circumstance should go through what the people in that department are going through. And it doesn't even fucking end. Have you seen what's been going on with Raven Software, where they were promised like pay rises and now they're letting people go? So they've just like done a walkout, and it's gonna like hold up on, like, I think it's like it's actively gonna hold up Warzone development or something like that. Like it's gonna hold up like Warzone content. But anyway, before I end up like getting myself too annoyed, the thing I wanted to even talk about, that I brought this all up to begin with, is the fact that that conversation between Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter and Jeff Keighley even happened. Suddenly all the people that were hoping that a Sonic announcement now feel a lot more vindicated, because it's like, oh, there might actually be something. Yeah, it might be a last second slot in, which tells me it might be in the pre-show then instead of the main show. But that could be exciting. I'm curious as to what it could be though. Like, I think Sonic Colors Ultimate coming to Steam is an inevitability, because I thought it was kind of stupid that it didn't to begin with. And this isn't even a whole Epic versus Steam thing. I just genuinely think it was really stupid that the biggest thing that people were asking for, and the only reason why Sonic Colors Ultimate seemed to come into existence, is because it was a Sonic game that wasn't on PC. And so when you finally bring it to PC, you bring it to the less popular platform, Like, come on. Like, the biggest thing people were asking for was to be able to access it, to be able to give it new life, and not just have to run it off Dolphin emulators all the time to play it on PC. And you gave it to them, but only half-heartedly because of contract bullshit. Because it's been made very clear over the years exactly how Epic works with the Epic Game Store exclusives. It's their way or the highway. They don't like the idea of games being multi-platform. They were very insistent, especially when it's towards indie developers, only on our platform, or we won't let you release it on our platform full stop. We won't let you make it a multi-platform release. They're trying to make third-party exclusivity in a field where it doesn't belong. And they've been doing it for like since the word go and still haven't stopped. And so it's like support, I don't know. But I feel like the Steam announcement is imminent. So I think that would be a giveaway. I hope it's not the only thing. I think there'll be a couple things for the 30th anniversary. I hope that's not the only thing. But I think a Steam announcement for the for Colors Ultimate is an inevitability. But the 4 things that could show up, we've got the next main Sonic game. We've got Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the film. We got Sonic Prime, the Netflix show, and then we got Sonic Origins, which, you know, kind of vanished off the face of the earth. I want to see Origins, if I'm honest. Like, I'm sure the next mainline Sonic game will be, you know, the next mainline Sonic game, and I'm sure it'll be alright or whatnot. I'm sure anything can be better than Forces, because I just found Forces boring as fuck. I don't think it was straight up a bad game or like a glitchy mess, but it's boring as hell. It's one of the least interesting Sonic game in the franchise I've played in years. So I like with Frontier, even though they've had a lot of staff rearrangements, and I'm aware that like a lot of things are different than how they were back with Forces, and it's had a lot longer of a development time to avoid things getting rushed out or being underwhelming. So I have more faith. I'm still, you know, it's the last game wasn't so great, so I'm going to be slightly hesitant with this one. I can't help it. It's just the nature of being a Sonic fan. You learn to be slightly hesitant. You're always hopeful, but you learn to be hesitant. But Origins is the thing I'm more looking forward to. Especially because we really don't know much. We had the reveal teaser, and then we were told in like an offshoot tweet that Sonic 3 would indeed be getting widescreen support, because it didn't in the trailer. And then that was the last we heard of it. We don't know if it's like based off the Aegis version that was released on Switch. We don't know if it was based on what it should be, the Christian Whitehead versions that were originally on phone, but only CD ever made it to console. Because, you know, they are the best versions because they did actually remaster everything, remastered the sprite work, remastered the animations to make it extremely smooth and responsive and just cleaner. Like, we don't know if it's a unique version entirely that's separate from them. We just know that a Sonic Origins collection that will include Sonic 3 is coming, and it's going to have widescreen support. And don't get me wrong, that is exciting, because if you've been to the channel for a while, you know how much I want to cover Sonic 3. And when Origins comes out, I will want to re-tackle Sonic 1 and 2, because I've mentioned many a times that I'm not happy with the original Let's Plays I did. And I'd rather make like, I'd make it count as one Let's Play. I wouldn't like add 3 more LPs onto the list of playlists on this channel, but I would just make it Sonic Origins and then just go through 1, 2, and 3 back to back in one go, so it becomes a bit bigger of a thing by nature. And I believe it's S3 and K. Like I believe it's not Sonic 3 and then Sonic and Knuckles. I do believe it's S3 and K, which is basically Sonic 3 complete. If it's just Sonic 3 and just Sonic Knuckles, that would be extremely, extremely disappointing, and would tell me a lot about the modern Sega team and how little they kind of pay attention to the history. Because the whole point of Sonic and Knuckles is that it's literally the second half of Sonic 3. If they make it so you can only play them separate again, that defeats the entire purpose of how they were originally released, where Sonic Knuckles could be clicked onto with Sonic 3, so you could get the full experience. And I think, but I'd have to double check, but I think Sonic CD's on there as well. And if Sonic CD is on there, so I'm not actually sure, so don't quote me on that. If CD is on there, that absolutely has to be the Christian Whitehead version. If it goes back to the original version, that is a ginormous misstep. Because the Christian Whitehead version of Sonic CD is the only version of the game that I think is kind of functional. Because the original version, whether you're playing it off the CD, playing it off the PC version, or playing it off the Gems collection on PS2, GameCube, and I think Xbox, the game is janky as fuck. You will click through scenery more often than any other Sonic game. any other 2D Sonic game. Like, it is very janky. It's still good, I guess, but it is very janky. The load times are not great, especially on the original CD hardware. It's hideously slow. The music only being restricted to one version or the other, when I actually have a lot of time for both soundtracks. Being in Europe, I got the Japanese soundtrack, which is, yeah, I prefer it over the American one. But that doesn't mean I don't love the American one. There's a lot of tracks in the US soundtrack I really have a lot of time for. It's just, it's hard to argue against the bop that is the Japanese soundtrack. And the Christian Whitehead version added playable tails. And rebalanced a few things. And made the special stages actually goddamn playable. Because they were so, like, they were so little sprites for the UFOs that working out and gauging the distance of where they are was really hard for depth perception. So you would miss them all the time. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, see these special stages where you ran around an arena and there were UFOs flying around. You had to jump up and break them all to get your reward, get your time stone. Problem is that their sprites for it, they only had like 4 different sizes, it felt like. So you had like super far, mid, close. And there was nothing in between. So it was very difficult to gauge just how close you actually were, and then you'd jump and you'd have missed it. So getting the time stones in the original version of CD was hellish. Whilst in the remaster, they made it so it wasn't in between, jumping between 4 frames basically. It would actually naturally like increase in size and then shrink again smoothly when you get closer to it and further away from it to gauge real distance, making the time stones a far more accessible way of getting the true ending, like making it the way I prefer to go. I prefer to just go for the time stones and worry about the generators, because I just find it easier to do so. And to be fair, if CD is in the Origins collection, yeah, I'll cover that too. I will admit that of the classic Sonic games, CD is my least favourite. It was something that I actually can't remember if I mentioned it. I think I did way like 5 odd years ago when Sonic Mania was like about to come out. I expressed a concern because Christian Whitehead himself, who was running the project and whatnot, talked at great length about how Sonic CD is his favourite Sonic game, and although I don't have as much negativity towards it nowadays as I used to, I used to straight up not like CD at all. I used to really not like CD. I thought CD was just way too clunky. I didn't like the level design. I didn't like the gimmicks of the levels. I certainly didn't like the fucking wacky workbench. Most of the bosses were forgettable outside of Metal Sonic. The final boss was a joke. Like, it was just a lot of the game really didn't click for me, and I just didn't enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot more through the Christian Whitehead version, so I can see what they were going for. Like, I like the whole time gimmick where you go to the past and the future and it alters the level design. I like that you can like try out different options to get your way through. I like that there's more than one way to get the true ending of the game. There's the whole do the special stages approach like the other one, but then there's also a robot generator in every level that you can destroy. Destroying all of them will get you it as well. Like, I like that there was options. Like, there's a lot more I can appreciate about it. But when I first heard that his favourite game was CD of the lot, I was terrified that it was going to be like CD when Mania came out. Thankfully it isn't. Mania is somewhere between 2 and 3 in the way it plays, because the levels aren't as long as Sonic 3, but they still have a lot of exploration in them, like Sonic 3. I just don't feel like it's to the same extent. My all-time favourite Sonic game is still Sonic 3 and Knuckles. My top 3 is S3 and K, Sonic Adventure 1, and Unleashed. And with these murmurs of this Project Spartacus floating around, as I've mentioned many times before, if that ends up being done right and not streaming, like you actually get to own and download the games into your machine and own them properly, Unleashed is one of those games that'll be on the list of games I'll want to cover. Hopefully it'll get some kind of frame rate boost like the Xbox Series X version. I kind of doubt it because I don't have that kind of faith on Sony. I'd be very pleasantly surprised if they do, and I'd very much welcome it, and I'd be more than willing to put my hand down and go, yeah, okay, it's my bad for underestimating them. But I very much doubt we're going to get 60 frames per second Sonic Unleashed on PS5. I just don't see it. Unless Sonic Unleashed gets a full remaster, I don't think it's happening. I think the only way you're getting 60 FPS is by the frame boosted version on Series X. Which, to be fair, also, if you've got a Series X, what the fuck are you doing? Please go play Sonic Unleashed. It's very punishing. Like a lot of people who haven't played it that much like to criticize that it's just boost to win. You will die if you believe that. I guarantee it. You will die in like the first proper level. You have the little tutorial that's like 30 seconds long, but then when you get to the first proper level after it, you will boost straight off a cliff and die. And you'll be like, well, I thought people said it was boost to win. No, Sonic Unleashed has a lot more layers to its level design than that. It's just the idea of it is that you're supposed to eventually learn the level and master it to such an extent that you can know exactly when to boost to get the fastest time. So when you're watching someone play it, it does look like they're only boosting and burning through the whole level. When in reality, no, it's because they've learned it thick and thin. They have a firm understanding of exactly how the level works, to know exactly when to not die, to know when to break off a different path, to know when to slow down, to know when to pick it up, so they can go through it, make it look like they're only going straight, when in reality, they've made a lot of micromanagement decisions throughout the entire run that you just haven't seen unless you've played it yourself to know how that's how it works. It's the same reason why I love Generations, because Generations does the same thing. It's why I'm not so keen on Colors, and why I found Forces so terrible. Because Forces is corridor simulator, so it does become actual boost to win. It becomes the very thing it was critiqued. It was like people called it as, you know, the people that didn't really play it. It became the very thing people kept on saying it was. Whilst Colors, 99% of that game's 2D. I get it, Nintendo Wii title, not as many resources, but that game spends way too much time in 2D sections, and so it does start to become less 3D option space. And the fact that you can't get boost gauge from rings, you can only get it from white wisps, doesn't help. It becomes like just a clunky 2D Sonic game for a lot of the game, for a lot of its runtime. It's still fun. I mentioned before that I was going to cover it. The only reason why I'm not covering it yet is because Sonic Colors Ultimate didn't launch in a state I'm happy with. And until it's patched enough to be just clean enough that I'm okay with it, I don't want to cover it. So I'll probably cover it next year at some point. It's just, as it stands right now, nah. As it stands right this second, it's not in the condition I want it to be in. And it's not in a condition that I think does the original game that was on the Nintendo Wii back in 2010 justice. I'd still personally, I'd never openly say emulate over buying. I'd still say support official products and support the official merchandise to keep the franchise going. But at the same time, your best way of playing Sonic Colors right now is unfortunately off an emulator. It's off the Dolphin emulator for the Wii. And I feel bad saying it because, like I said, I don't like supporting emulation in that sense. The only time I'll ever use emulation is if I actually own the game. Like, I will emulate Earthbound off my phone because I own Earthbound. You know? I own the copy, so it's like I'm not always in the mood to fire up the SNES, put it all in, yada yada. So having just an emulator of the SNES on my phone, then I'll play because I already own a copy. I've already given the money, and the game's also super fucking old. But that's besides the point. Like, there's always things like that. I'll only emulate if I own it. I'm dead against the idea of just emulating new products. Like, it genuinely upset me when I heard that Metroid Dread was like an emulated version, like the day it came out. And people were saying, oh look, it runs so much better on emulation. And I'm like, fuck off. Metroid, the biggest crime Metroid has struggled with for years is lack of sales. Because after Prime 3 Corruption, Dread, despite it being talked about so often back in like 2005, 2006, had vanished off the face of the earth. Other M took a huge risk and it fell flat, unfortunately. They panicked, went dormant for a number of years. The first thing they came back with was a spin-off, which wasn't what people wanted after so many years of it being dormant. And then Samus Returns, although I heard it sold alright, it was a late-ish 3DS game that was also a remake of an older title, and no matter how different or how like wide the gap between original release and remake, the word remaster, re-release or remake tends to hurt sales. It's why a lot of games, when they remake or reboot something, just use an original name. They don't put remake in the title. It's not like, say, the Final Fantasy VII Remake, where its existence was so stupendously hyped before it was even in like the zeitgeist of potentially happening. You know, way back in like 2009 people were talking about it. that they knew it would sell copies to slap Remake on. Like, this was the exception. It doesn't mean it was the rule. Most remakes will just scrap the name. Ratchet and Clank was a good example. That was more of a remake than a reboot of the original game. A terrible remake in my opinion, but that's just my bias kicking in. I prefer the original. But that didn't say Ratchet and Clank Remake. It just said Ratchet and Clank. That's what I mean.
Our pleasure. I think we need.
But so it took until Dread, and thankfully Dread sold super fucking well. But it was the fact that it's the moment it came out, people were emulating it. I think every Metroid fan on the planet went, oh fuck, here we go. It's going to sell poorly and the series is going to die again. So thankfully it didn't happen. Dread sold stupendously well and I think secured the future of 2D Metroid. But I gotta wrap it up here, you know. So, next time on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, the worst of the side questing, or the grindiest of the side questing is done. So now we got left is the more creative ones. We need to go see where those Corneo goons are up to near Aerith's place. We've got a couple other little side quests. We need to get that key of Kirya, and just in general wrap up what else we can do here. So until then, you guys take care now. Peace.